Hello and welcome once again to Wars Going On. I'm Mark Turris and we are here on the Forerunner server to bring you the latest in what's going on in Watcher of Realms. As ever, this is a community-based podcast and we have just passed 500 subscribers. So if you stick around to the end, we will be starting the details of the W Gold giveaway that we've given out in a future episode. So, we are joined by Jake Smash and Sebastian this week to talk about the Season 9 GvG maps. Obviously, they were shown in the preview that was put out by Moonton, but they were about this big and you couldn't really see anything. So, we've got them here on the Forerunner server. We can show them to you. We're going to go in, we're going to play around, and we're going to have a good time this evening. So, guys, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you, Sebastian?
Oh, I'm okay. Just got through a grind of a week, so trying to see what we can do here and there in regards to the game. So, but I had a fun stream with people where we discussed some of the aspects of the tower and the targeting of the demon soldiers. So we played around with that, and we found out that there were some bugs. So we can get into it and we can discuss this. And yeah, Arturo's got a little bit of a preview. So now let's just bring it here and we can discuss formations and stuff that, we can probably think, especially with people that have, the top tier accounts and then people that might have mid-level spend accounts and stuff like that. So
yeah.
I think the only thing in terms of news this week, obviously, it's been the Wukong summons. I hope everyone had good luck. Mine was a bit mixed, but overall, it was a good summoning session. The patch is arriving on Global in the next couple of days. I think it's on Tuesday, which is normally your patch day. The only thing that's not turning up is Malrik. Obviously, the developers want to spend a bit more time working out what we're doing with these guys. I'm still accumulating them. I need to sit down and have a proper play with them. But yeah, I'm starting to get a nice selection of them. They're all the same map. The thing that differs is the difficulty and the modifiers. It's going to be interesting because every single one is a one shot and you've got one chance to get it right if you want maximum rewards.
And what we're learning to appreciate it. So I haven't really played with in the Forerunner accounts because, of course, this account, I don't spend on it. It doesn't have the heavy awakenings. It doesn't have like the top gear that I have in my global account. But in the test server, at least they opened this up for us to test. And okay, so I can already tell from Forerunner players that one level of frustration is going to be the time investment that this is going to require, right? Because one, there is no auto. 2, you have to run them manually. And 3, each one of these, even though they might look the same, each one of them has its own conditions that you have to, keep in mind. I think, what was it? One of them was like extra HP, or I can't remember exactly what it was.
So this one, your allies take additional damage. We've got other ones in here. So yeah, reduces allies' HP. Increase allies' redeployment time so you can't move people around. Another reduce HP, increase damage. Yeah, it's basically, and there's some where the enemies can't be blocked and they'll just walk through you. So you've got to build up your damage on that side to try and balance it out. And it's very, very ground unit heavy. So if you've got some really strong, you can't rely just on Praetus and Ingrid on opposite sides to blast everything out. You've got to have a real good control team, and you still need a healer in there somewhere. So the chances are you're going to be relying on with an archer who's got Blood Drinker on a platform to be on one of the platforms, and then you've got a primary heavy AoE mage at the bottom dealing with the other end, and then you've got someone like Aelin or Fercy in the middle to try and keep everyone alive.
And then
current duration, you said you have to manual everything every time.
Yeah, and there's like 8 between like 8 up to, so this is a red one, and there's about how many waves? There's 8 waves, and there'll be up to like 100 and over 100 enemies on some of these. So they're quite long battles.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've got to set yourself up for them, and while you're able to put all of your units down in relatively quick, and it builds up over time, so you've got the opportunity. The fact they're one shot, and it's quite easy to screw it up. So, and we did say last week, and we gave the example of the really bad rewards that some people had found, and we are trying to work with the developers to get them to fix that, so people aren't getting something shocking like hitting all 5-star psychic powers in a legendary or mythic challenge, because that's just really unfair for the time investment.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, I don't know if this was test server, and I don't know because I haven't run too many battles in Forerunners. But the reason that I'm waiting at least on releasing video is because based on what Behemoth's comment was, I took the same relic or what's the keystones. That's right. That's the proper name of it. So I took the same keystone and I did the second run. And based on the clips I collected, I think that the reason that this is not auto is because the spawn point mechanism changes for the waves. So I haven't run across the one that has the bombs, but apparently the bombs will in one run could spawn from the second spawn point, and then another one it'll spawn from the bottom one. So there's not only an RNG composition here, a thing that we have to take into account, but the developers, at least for this, they have done it so each keystone kind of behaves its own way. It has its own RNG. So I think that this is why part of this is manual, is because if you auto it and you're not compensating for the different spawn points or the different spawn where these enemies are coming, it's just going to throw you run off. So this is what we're saying is that they're going to have to think about increasing the capacity of the keystones, especially how often they're dropping and the gear rates, because if people need to invest conservatively 5 minutes per run, I would say 4 to 5 minutes per run. If it fails, quit early, maybe 2. But you're going to have a concerted effort to spend the time to run each one to make sure you don't cap out at 50 and start losing keystones. Because as soon as you cap out at 50, you won't get any more keystone drops from the gear rates. You have to have empty slot in order for the keystones to drop.
Yeah, so you have to farm the keystones from gear raids, and then you go into the keystone to do those runs, and each keystone is completely unique. So you'll have to read the information about that specific keystone, come up with a completely unique team, and hope that it is good enough every single time.
Yeah.
But then keep also this in mind, Jake. So let's say you and I take a keystone, we make a video on it, and we publish it, right?
Yeah.
If a person gets that same keystone and says, okay, I'm going to do Jake's strategy, it actually may fail because of how the demon soldiers are being spawned. Because they're not coming in at the same spawn point that it did for you. So everybody's going to have to kind of adapt to the run as it's coming at them.
Which...
Go ahead, Jake.
I can already see Jake.
That's highly frustrating. That's too much for something that is going to be so absolutely necessary to the next level of power creep in the game.
So I think that now people should appreciate why this is not coming in the June patch yet. Okay, we're still trying to give them some feedback on this. Now, luckily, I have test server access, so I can play around with that. But I'm already telling them, there's already a level of frustration on how much you have to spend time in the game as it is right now with all the new content, and now you're going to be dropping this on them with no auto, and everything is variable, and each run is different, and you're only giving them 50 for capacity. Your Discord suggestion thread is going to boom explode.
Yeah, if they want increased variability, then I would say make more keystones. Have each keystone have its own unique variability, but once you figure out that keystone, right, then you can set that keystone, you can set up an auto team for that one. But you'll end up, if there's 10, 20, 30 different keystones, over time you'll have to do 10, 20, 30 different unique teams. But once you figure out the one, then you can run that one in the future.
Like the Tower of Deception stages, where the standard stages, it auto clears, and then the boss stages, it will let you rerun the thing, but you need to make sure you've got your gear set. So yeah, the concept is there. It's just the execution is just a little off at the moment, and the reward RNG can be really painful.
Yeah.
So so take it as I would say, the global people just feel comfortable right now that you're not getting this, and you do whatever you need to do with your account in terms of farming, but at least the way that this is set up right now, it's better that it doesn't go to global right now as it is, because like Arturo said, there's some things with the execution that need to change a little bit here. So so don't just calm down, let people make the suggestions here, and the fact that they actually held it means that they're probably listening, which is surprising us sometimes, because they typically don't listen to Forerunners people, and then they roll it out and there's still bugs in it, or the content is dead at arrival. But at least this time they
that's the whole reason you're there.
Yeah, exactly. We're like, we're at testers here.
Yeah, I did have one stage where archers spawned, or it wasn't from one of these 4 that are listed on the map. It was suddenly 2 extra ones appeared here behind my platform units, and we're able to snipe them out. So on that one, I was lucky enough to have enough ground units to say, okay, so I'll just not have platform units and just use the ground units I've got to take out the incoming damage. But yeah, there's some interesting things, and I think the bombs were another one which spawned down here, and they just came round and took everything out that was on the platform as it exploded. So yeah, interesting mechanics. I need to spend a bit more time playing with it. I've been kind of focusing on other things at the moment, like pushing Abyss and Zone. So yeah, and trying to work out these. Well, we had Gauntlet last week, and now we're into setting up for Guild Wars. So Season 9 maps and the sandbox. So for those of you who weren't present last week, here we are. We now have a sandbox. These look like the old training area, but now they've ripped everything out and just given you a keep and a tower. And you can jump in here, you can see the map, you get this lovely little overview, and again you've got the overview, and this just gives you an opportunity to set your teams up, have a play, and it doesn't affect what you've got set for GvG. So for those of you who love those of you who need to set opponents' defenses and test against them, this is a great opportunity to do that. You don't have to worry about screwing up your defenses that you've set. You don't need to worry about the gear that you've got. This is all there. This is all going to be integral, and you'll be able to good to go. So let's start with the tower. Let's dive in here. So we'll go for an Ingrid, because Ingrid's always good because of her unique range. Who else should we have? Well, obviously, he's hiding now. Wukong, Talon's always good because she shows every tile. And yeah, then just grab a healer. So grab a Carnelian. There we go. So let's just jump in here and have a look at what we can do. So here we are. We've got quite everything is based on the left-hand side of the map. There's no coming forward. So this is the spawn point. You've got to come around here, and you're kind of given a few options. You can go front and try and deal with everything up here before you come around. At the back, everything gets really tight and you start to lose out on tile availability. So here at the front, if you go here, then you can kind of try and put maybe an Ingrid down here, and then hope you don't get swarmed. Obviously, if you've got something like a A1 plus Ariel here who can get his Trammel down and slow things down to stop things coming around the corner, then you've got some chance maybe, but ultimately you've got because
I mean, depending on what level you're competing at, for sure.
Yeah. What else can you do? So obviously you can get your healer there, and then you've got space for an archer down here, or well, that's it really. You can try and do a nightmare comp there, but things are a little bit tight. So for example, imagine that was a Toreador. And then
similar to season 8, you could do like Toreador, Wukong, Imrit, and then a Hatset and a heal in one of those places, and it'll still work really well.
Yeah, as long as the bombs don't leak past Toreador, then and take out the platform unit, then you're probably okay. But yeah, obviously, if you're running Carnelian, then you've got a bit more survivability against that.
Okay, so for those of you that are watching, yes, the nightmare compositions are still kind of the top formations that people are picking. I think it's primarily because there are more heroes accessible in that faction, and people like to copy what they see, right? So in terms of the compositions when it comes to Toreador with, for example, Sun Kang, and then anybody in the back that they, depending on the account that we're talking about, right? Maybe you just restricted to an arrogance, or you have to use a who am I thinking on the back? An Ardea, for example. But you do have someone kind of you can put up front, and then after that is pretty much on how you build those heroes and be able to BP check essentially the demon soldiers. That's what it really comes down to with these compositions. Now, in previous episodes when we discussed about the formations of the nightmare compositions, I'm gonna tell people that usually our advice would be Carnelian, Lily, or Estrin, right? And I know that some of you may be seeing screenshots of people starting to use Furcy or the Somi to try to increase the damage of the fighters on the back, okay, in that composition, along with Hatsu as well. Here is the warning with that. Most of the time, I'm going to say 90% of the time of people using Furcy or the Somi and the formation, they're using them because of the inspiration, but what allows them to sustain it along is the A5 Toreador. So for those of you that are in lower levels, if you want to try that, you can. But if they don't think that you have an A5 Toreador, you may get crunched. So just be aware of how you put in that formation together. That's just tricks that we're talking about here right now, especially when it comes to this. And if you're seeing screenshots of that, that is exactly what is going on. So beware of that. But essentially in this type of formation here is how you build the Su Kang. You have to make sure that he can do a lot of damage, bring those Templars down, or if somebody's sending Pharaohs at you for any reason, to set up the swarm. And then on the back, you just have to make sure you got enough DPS to bring anything down along with Hatsud. So that's essentially what that formation is going to entail here for Gauntlet.
Yeah, and you'll have to build Sun Wukong tanky as well, right? So he just doesn't get blasted by bookkeepers. He'll need both.
Yeah, so 55k plus HP on your Wukong if you're putting him in the second slot on that sort of thing, just to survive those blasts from the from the bookkeepers as they're coming in. Obviously, he gets his monkey business as well, gives him a little bit more survivability, and his ultimate, especially A3 plus A5, is really effective at taking out single targets. So. Okay, so there's kind of that position. I did see someone trying to be clever with a Ingrid up top, a defender there, a Praetus and excuse the wrong unit, but there was a Valkyra here and a healer in this position. Now, this didn't work for a number of reasons. Because obviously, as you come round this corner, the defender's too far back, so that's straight in the sights of the bookkeepers. Bookkeepers are able to then instantly take out that unit.
And then also Garnet guards will take out where Carnelian is, and if they're not, unless that position's really tanky.
There's a condition to that. I'm gonna let Arturo set it up, but there's a condition to that actually. You'll see this some crazy spaghetti coding. Just wait to hear this.
Yeah, so I tested it, and the Garnet guards don't attack this square which Carnelian is on until they're down here. So
that's 3 squares away.
But they won't attack from here.
No, that's not 3 squares. That's 4.
1, 2.
Left 2.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, you can hit that. You can hit that square with epic archers. So you can hit that square with epic archers for 1.
Mm-hmm.
But then,
when the tank is where Kagiri is.
Yeah.
If the tank would be 1 up, the archers focus on the tank and don't focus on the platform up there.
The archers, yeah. But then at that point, if the tank is 1 further up, then your ranged.
Your whole Ingrid team doesn't work. Yeah.
That whole makeup. Yeah, no, that wouldn't work there. No, but I mean, if we could, if you want to specify about the targeting right now of that platform unit, yes, the Garnet guards will not see it when they're coming around the corner going down. The epic archers only see it if the tank is in the second position. And I did not notice the shamans or the new chaotic units targeting that platform as well. They start going after the tank. So the only thing that I was going to say here with the Garnet guard targeting of that platform where Carnelian is. So if they make it all the way down to the tank, right, at that second position, if they make it all the way down there, now they're 3 straight, right? They are in the targeting range of that platform. So on the stream that I did, and I don't know if Arturo's caught it, but if you release the Garnet guard on the front tile, the Garnet guard will not target that platform. But if you release it on the back tile, he will. And he can test that now.
Didn't that happen like 2 or 3 seasons ago too?
Yes,
in one of the maps. What the hell?
They kept the same thing. Arturo's, if you wanted to, he could show it. But I'm just telling you that there is a funky mechanic going on right now with the Garnet guard targeting as it pertains to that platform as it stands right now. And I submitted it saying, "What the hell is this?" I haven't heard back here. So we'll have to wait and see if this is actually how Gauntlet's going to play out when it comes to the Garnet guards.
It's not letting me do it because I don't have a second team set at the moment. But okay, we can have a look at that later. So
just
the other people obviously love a bit of range when they look at maps like this, and they think that the saviors will be in the star pierces. Not convinced, but I'm ready to be persuaded otherwise. So
Star compositions only have a good chance of making it if you have somebody that is not doing and does not know what they're doing when they're attacking, or Lady Alexandra is involved. That's pretty much when you're gonna have a little bit of success. But I do think that for a Piercer composition to work, you have to have Ilar. Otherwise there's just little that you can do with Aracha these days.
Yeah. So, I mean, that you just send in, if you were facing something like that, you just send in something with lots of heavy armor and bait out the Silas with some tanks, and then either swarm it, try and get past the traps and try and avoid the AoE damage of the A5 Nyx or the Awakened Kai coming into that area. You probably have a mage there rather than trying to put in an AoE.
But again, it also really depends on like what level of GvG we're talking about, right? Something like that would probably be pretty damn effective in like, Plat 2, where plenty of people are.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. Well, Plat 2, we're thinking level 2, 3 Demon Sellers, pretty much, right?
Probably.
Yeah,
for the most part.
So yeah. If they're built to pack a punch, maybe works. The Necros wouldn't survive too long. The skeletons would just melt. Yeah, there's a good chance it might work for them.
Okay, I'm kind of dreading trying to bring stuff to the back, and I'll just leave this here and go back to the first one, because I'm bringing a Toreador or something to have another look at that, because it's an odd bod. Okay, so we've actually got a proper tank in here, so it actually feels a bit more legitimate. So, at the back, what can you do? Can you do it? Let's think. Can we first of all do anything with this tile here? So, if you go on this tile where I've just put Toreador, you are incredibly limited in what you can do. Again, you can try your Ingrid deployment here. You're really limited on where you can place your healer, because that tile is out of commission, that tile's out, that tile's out, that tile's out, that tile's out, and that doesn't reach. So
I mean, you're restricting yourself to long-range fighters, essentially, is what is on top. Yeah. Even if you were to use somebody like Ingrid, there's still that weakness there that you don't have enough positioning on the bottom to put a DPS where you're going to get flown over. It's essentially what's going to happen.
You could put like Ingrid where she is, right there where Talon is, in the ground tile in front of it, right? You could put an Imrit there, and then Imrit can control and damage as they get past Toreador, and he can ult and hit in front of Toreador. And then like Carnelian, you could put on those two tiles above Imrit, and then if you put someone there where Carnelian is, then her waves, her soul essence would hit that tile, and then it would bounce to Toreador.
Like that.
So there's some options there.
Okay. Or were you thinking where I put a Wukong would be more there? Yeah.
Okay. Wukong is there. That's ideally probably like an Imrit or something, and then Ingrid actually back to where she was, so that she can hit in front of Toreador, where Carnelian is.
Yeah.
And swap then you can put around. Carnelian.
Yeah.
or to the left of that.
Yeah, I could see that.
Not a fan of it. That tank is just.
I would.
I mean, I'd quite happily bomb that to try and take that out, but
no, it isn't the bombing that I'm too. It would be more of trying to. I think that I would probably be more of sending a lightning guard to get Emirates ult activated, and then set up some type of swarm after. Ingrid is not gonna do too much once things get past. That's the unfortunate part about it.
Yeah,
it would have to be a very unique set of conditions here to make sure that you don't put Imrit in a situation where he's not going to be able to control anything coming at him. That defender just looks too easy to snipe off. There's not enough protection there.
Yeah, it would be tough for sure.
It would be tough. I mean, people can play around with it. I mean, I always like to do, if I can bring Baba into any type of formation like this and spread him out, maybe he can help a little bit, but it would be tough. It would be tough.
On the other,
I think our Dia tile is what I'm looking at more than anything else instead of Emirate, but
yeah.
So our Dia next to
you run a cluster with so many different levels, right? Plat 2, Plat 3, Plat 4, or Plat Overlord.
Yeah, all over the place.
Yeah, so my cluster right now, we have 3 that pretty much are pushing Overlord. So they're just like in all the good stuff.
Yeah, we've only got 2 pushing Overlord right now, and then the other 8 are all over the place.
It would be tough. It'll be tough. It'll be tough with the tank down there in the 3rd position. Yeah, that's going to be a really tough formation to try, because you are taking away those 3 platforms. You just can't use them.
Yeah.
So
1, 2, 3, 4, and then that could be. You could also do like Torador underneath Carnelian, and then a ranged fighter in the tile above Sun Wukong, so you could put like Imrit there, and then Carnelian to the right of Ingrid. Ingrid could not be Ingrid. Or you could,
Anora there.
She would either go there in single target, or you wouldn't be using her at all. But you could put a marksman or a mage in that position, and a marksman or a mage in the position where she was, and then they can both do damage. And then you've got your tank, and then you've got a second ground unit for additional damage and crowd control and slowing of swarms and stuff. And then you've got Carnelian giving soul essence to everyone on the board.
Yeah, that's the thing about these longer maps, is the opportunity for Carnelian to protect teams as we're placed at the back of the map.
Yeah, it would be a Carnelian only type formation, because if you don't put enough in front, or you're not able to slow things down coming at you, somebody's just gonna send out the beholders with a couple bombs, rush them with the speedster, you're done. Especially if you're clumped up like that.
Other option, maybe Lily goes where Ingrid is, faces to the right, and then you could put another platform unit to the right of Sun Wukong, so they don't die from Garnet Guards or archers. And it would be kind of like a bait team. You could put like Mari there or something facing to the left. And that could do some really good work also.
Yeah, Ajax might as well, maybe around there.
I imagine that we'll see a couple formations with because there are a couple of platforms that you can use there to start putting her icicles and try to slow things down.
Yeah.
You're kind of then people to try to either set up a swarm or fly you, but you just have to plan with that, and then you can play around with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, aside from that, it would be that backside is going to look a little bit tough to defend. But then again, we had the keep here in season 8 with that weird configuration. So there were some formations that came out that were effective, but they were still breakable. So
yeah, definitely some options though.
Yeah. The only thing with this back formation, though, is I consider it to be mostly restricted to 3 ground tiles, 2 platforms. Is essentially what's going to come down to. I just don't see anything where it's going to be really strong to have 3 platform units and just 2 ground units. You're just opening yourself up too easily if you do that.
Yeah, and you're going to need a really...
That could be like an ESO team, right? Like you could have Lily there where Carnelian is facing to the right. Ingrid could be and then Torador would be Cyrus. Sun Wukong would be Imrit. And that's who am I missing? 1, 2, 3, and then like you could have Reyes or something in that tile above where Imrit would be.
No. Okay. So the thing that we haven't considered here is is not going to be fast enough to put icicles down where she's going to disrupt Garden Guards or epic archers coming at her if you put her where Ingrid is.
Yeah.
So that platform there is
to really build her tanky or right have Lily on the other side to revive her. Both.
But then so you're right. But unfortunately, that's where you waste the revive. Now you put the tank in a perilous position, and so it's a right. It's still a race against the clock. But depending on what type of level archers you're going to go up against, if that revive procs on the first hit, and then they still have 2 more shots at you, you're gonna come down. So just remember, they'll go towards her. Coming off, and then they'll come back down, and then they'll still be within her targeting range, or within their targeting range, because the tank hasn't been seen, right? So they're gonna get shot.
So they'll attack that spot twice, assuming they don't die from the crystals, and the healer can't keep her alive.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'd say the same is true of Mari as well.
Would need some tweaking.
Yeah, just be careful.
Yeah.
Now, Jake, I will say, Jake, it's just that I'm used to seeing archers and Gardener Guards at levels that can pick off 60,000 HP platform units. So, like I just said, it all depends on the level of competition that you're seeing. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Any more suggestions at the back? Or should we move on to the tower?
Okay, so before you move to the tower, so just I always like to emphasize to people the Gardener Guard spots, just in case you just need to protect yourself against. So where Torador was, of course, that platform to the left of Torador, that's a Gardener Guard position. Just make sure that you're able to have something to cover you from it or disrupt the Gardener Guards. Because remember, the Gardener Guards get CC'd and their targeting goes off whack, and sometimes you're safe. Just make sure that you're ready to melt them as soon as they come in and they don't get a straight shot at that platform right there. Before you also move on, the one thing that I wanted to emphasize, at least from the notes that I have down here. So if we go back to the bottom, just so people know, could you put the Torador in the first position? And then put a platform unit right above him, one to the left, right there. Okay, so if you're planning on laying out any formation like this, when the Gardener Guards come out, whether it's the top spot or the bottom spot, as soon as they hit the tile, it would be 1, 2 coming in. As soon as they hit that one right there, they'll target Ingrid, or what it is right now, Ingrid. Okay,
it should be one to the left. That one.
And so right there, at least from what we saw on stream, the Garner Guards will start hitting the platform unit from there. They'll throw rocks, and then as they're coming in with the turn, they'll do it again. So if you're gonna use that platform there, you're gonna have to build that one really, really tanky. The formations that we're playing around, especially when it came to Esoterra's team, I told people I would rather use the platform unit on the right-hand side of Torador, because the Garner Guards really didn't target that. They already got disrupted, or they got distracted. So that would be one way to get around it if you wanted to, and then just place everything else in the back. So you'll have Armored in the back, and you'll have your healer in the back. But that platform where Ingrid is sitting right now, yes, it's a little bit dangerous, especially when it comes to the Garden Guards. So just be careful when you're playing around with your formations and trying to put them together.
Cool.
And there are some cultist deviations that are also working well, especially if you have a 3 Morrigan. If you're lucky enough to have an A5 Kriya, you can make play of that. Beatrix, there's some things that you can do with her if you wanted to. Given that recent buff to Demi, I have seen some of the top guilds use Demi in some way to try to complement a cultist team. I have seen some Malvira's compositions that are working really well. I'm still not a fan of Malvira being the top D defender, but some people swear that if you get her to 8-3, she works better. So there is another faction that you can possibly toy around with and see what you can do.
Yeah. So that they were starting to attack from that tile there. So.
Yep.
And assuming they stayed alive, they would have attacked there again when they got directly in front of Torador, because that would have been three tiles.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, I do not have my BP gear on, and obviously my units are not geared because I'm in here playing around. Right, so into the tower. So here we have a slightly different layout. Obviously, we've got a long path with some interesting setup opportunities here. Some unusual tiles, but we'll see how they play out as we start playing with this. Okay, bring him, and
so at least for this one, I know that people are gonna try to find an Ingrid spot. That's gonna be the key there. I think I have marked down possible 2, but that's about it. But here's the thing: is that even if you will manage to put Ingrid in a position where she will do what she does, once you get past her, she is going to be in danger. That's the only unfortunate. So you have to make sure there's a lot of support at the front for you to be able to do anything. So go ahead and we can start up at the top if you want, or go in the bottom.
Right. So at the front at the top. So you've got your 2 tiles at the top here, and obviously you can try and be cute by putting something here, but that's just going to be targeted for the Garnet Guards. So you'd need your Carnelian or Lily facing this way to start.
I know that some people are going to try to put Ingrid there because they're gonna dare you to come at her, but just too easy of a solution to
Well, yeah, you just have to go high affiliation and then just try to bomb rush it and take her down.
Yeah, just send a Pharaoh out, get her into stellar mode, do the rest.
Yeah,
you know how to do it. So But people are still going to try to put her there because they think that's an Ingrid spot.
Where are all the ground placement spots again?
There aren't many. So there's just the 8. So we've got 3 here, 3 here, and 2 here. It's obviously designed to be a little bit platform heavy, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 platforms. Some are more viable than others.
That far left middle position. She could go there, face her to the right, and then Malvira, or whoever your friggin' tank is, right there.
Yeah.
And then you would want to have a second ground, right? A fighter or a tank or an Imrit or Sun Wukong, whoever, right? Behind Malvira, built tanky.
Yeah.
No, that's probably more like let's see here. Where I had Emirates possibly there, and then the second tile, the third one, right in front of Ingrid. Would he extend that far?
Yeah, he should do.
Yeah. He will, right?
Yeah, he would hit over there.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Arrogance would
Something
hit
like
there.
You could have Imrit there. Yeah, Imrit, Arrogance, Ardea. And you could have like a Sun Wukong or something behind that tank. And then your healer where Ezreal is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one of the things that I still have to test here. So with Malvira there, would the archers still target Paradius when they come out? They still would be within their targeting range, right?
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, archers should hit Paradius in that corner.
Yeah,
that's
so
why
we
you
would have
pull. You probably wouldn't want someone there. You would have your healer where Ezreal is, and then you would have the 3 ground tiles like we discussed. More than likely.
Yeah. And you wouldn't.
Yeah. So that's. Yeah, especially with Emrit, it would really strengthen up that formation there.
Yeah.
So you'd also
have to be something from something like the Nightmare composition that you would have to farm with those 3 tiles right there. So
yeah, you'd be relying on the pull effect from Malvira's ultimate to try and act as a CC effect, and then maybe going double tank to try and pull units back in front of her so that she can control them. But,
yeah, if you wanted to use Malvira, yeah. I think that this would be more of a watch guard type composition. I guess where I would be leaning, because at least that opens a little bit of the possibility of you bringing in Suwon Kong, or you play Emirates and then provide the support on the back. What other? I don't think an Arbor comp would play too effectively there.
Watch guard for sure. Ingrid, Sun Wukong, Imrit, and then strong tank X that you have, Torador, Brokir, Cyrus, etc. Whatever you've got, that's a good one. And then your healer, Lily, ideally, probably, or Ezreal.
Yeah, so you got your 3 ground tiles. Well, you probably go 2 ground and it'll be 3 ground tiles, healer and magic dealer to try and balance the team composition, but with strong anti-air at the same time.
So the platform by the core. So if we put somebody there, would the Garnet Guards have too much of an easy shot? Right, they would have too easy of a shot there. Yeah, with no healing action, right?
Yeah, Garnet Guards would hit her in once they hit that corner tile there in front of Malvira. They would hit that Ingrid position.
Yeah.
Now, if I were to put somebody like I up there, do you think that the Garnet Guards would get disruptive enough? Maybe she survives a couple of hits. I don't know.
Depends on who else you had dealing damage in those 2 tiles.
Does Ezreal reach that far? If you put it on the
Ezreal hits everywhere.
Oh, but
Well,
yeah, I know. Take Ezrin and then put him on the platform to the left of the core.
No.
Almost. Maybe Carnelian. Maybe Carnelian bounces as pretty.
Carnelian's the same range. That's too far away.
No, but Soul Essence would bounce from the platform.
Praetus would bounce to Malvira and Valk, but it wouldn't go up to Ingrid. She's too far away.
Yeah, it's too far back. But I'm just talking about possibly putting Eye up there. That's something that we can toy around with and see if it works. Now,
yeah,
if the new healer is actually a good healer, I think she extends out that far.
So Nerissa, yeah, she does seem to extend that side. She's got the Vortex Furcy healing range, which would cover all of this area.
But that wouldn't reach the tank from that position.
No, you'd still be short of the tank.
3 is 3 out. Okay, I thought it was 4 out. There's ways to go around it. Okay. Well, it's something to play around with. I'm just right now. I'm just kind of theory crafting this as we go.
You also have like your healer where Praetus is facing up, and then they're protecting the first tank, not the second ground unit, right? They're also protecting that corner tile, and then you could have a major marksman or something in front of Ezrin there, or you could have a third ground unit in between Malvira and Valk. Those are options depending on your roster.
I wouldn't. No, not there.
So you're thinking another ground unit there?
Probably another ground unit.
Yeah.
If you had right, if we're thinking like Nightmare here, we could have like Torador, Sun Wukong, Imrit, and then up in the top left corner, right? Whoever you could put Hatsit there, you could put Ajax there, you could put Eye there, whatever, and then your healer is where Ezrin is.
Yeah, you just want to avoid putting someone there because that's
exposed. But depending on where you are, and there's a ton of variables.
Yeah, you want to avoid
use Nightmare. This is the spot to do it. I wouldn't do it in the back. This is the spot right here to Nightmare, and you can possibly do another variation of it if you put Torador right at the front.
Well, if you put like your Hatsit there where Ingrid is, right, then bookkeepers are going to hit the tank and then kill her.
Right. Yeah.
No, it would have to be one behind Torador, and then you would have to do protection from the healer up through the back. That's where probably Carnelian would come into play.
Right there. So in that position, you could have the heals coming there from south of where Ezrin is, and they would reach up through the tank, but then it wouldn't reach that top left corner if you were trying to use that. But it would right there.
Yeah, you'd have something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you'd have you'd have your 3 Nightmare units in the row with the marksman on the platform where I've got Praetus, and then your healer down at the bottom where I've got Ezrin.
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly what I would do.
Yeah. And as we were saying, you don't want to put your healer this side because that would still be subject to attack by the epic archers, who are pretty deadly, especially when they get to A5 for just sniping off those units.
Then let's talk about the other facts. So, do you guys see anything for the esotericists there? Because I'm trying to think as to how it would fit, like a Cyrus with an aura and Emirate, and then provide the support. So if we did Cyrus on top, bottom, you would bring in an Emirate, Nora would probably be flanking the left side, but we need to do enough protection to make sure they don't get bombed. Or something like that.
Yeah. Cyrus top where we were talking Torador would be, and then Imrit 2 tiles back. So Cyrus has 1 skeleton, a Nora to the left and to the south of where Lily is currently. And then Lily would probably be 3 spaces down from where she is right now.
Can you send some Garner guards at this?
Yeah, let's see if I can
get
some affiliate. I did try this earlier, and it was hysterically bad at how well they survived the incoming damage.
Okay.
I mostly just sent them in a pretty sort of basic setup because I just was thinking, okay, so let's see how they're attacking the units coming around here, and the marksmen
they should in the corner there where they start before they turn north. They should hit Nastia.
Let me grab a Pharaoh Guard as well because we need something to take that first hit, because otherwise they just melt on that first corner and we're not going to learn anything. Okay, so save this and start battle. So this is the joy of sandbox.
Love that you can test against yourself.
Well, this isn't me. This is one of my allies. But anyway, it's a lot easier than jumping between red tiles.
I just want to see the. Yeah, it's a sandbox, right? Yeah.
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 So this defense is not set in the actual Guild Wars. This is just like a sample.
No. This is copied from his Guild Wars. If you haven't set something in Sandbox, this is what is copied from what you've set.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Here we go.
So,
by the way, I'm not convinced. I'm not for GvG, but that's another thing. We'll talk about that some other time. All right. Here we go.
You're not convinced what?
I'm not convinced about Nastia being a viable GvG mage, but that's just me.
Yeah, same. Bam, right there in the corner.
Oh, come on, man. You can't. Yeah, she's not going to survive level 5-6 Gardener Guards. Are you kidding me? No, that's not going to do. We're going to have to find another spot for it. But if you had Emret, for example, in the place of Numeria, maybe we can disrupt the targeting a little bit, but I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, and the marksmen are just too distracted by the defender, so they don't work.
It's not them. I'm not too worried about them. Maybe the chaotic units I might worry about, but the Gardener Guards, you're definitely in the targeting range. You're gonna have to protect that if you want to do that. I think I would probably put more like a Mary in there, or an eye just to be a pest, but aside from that, I wouldn't trust that regular platform unit.
Super tanky CC.
Yeah.
So I think it was the season 5 map when you come get that turn and you had that kind of similar platform that we did, right?
Yeah.
So that's where the tanky Mary and Guardian gear came from. That was the whole thing that spawned that.
Which was fine until the rare archers were able to pick her off as they came around that corner.
Yeah. Trick with the rare archers, and especially. But at that time, Gardener Guards were only level 1. Now we're just in a whole game now. So.
I mean, she's pretty effective. I mean, I know you're not a fan of Nastia at the moment, but she's pretty effective at dealing with these guys. So,
it's just that she's a single target mage.
If we can survive.
It's a single target mage. That's what I'm going for, and you can get around that. So we have Pradius as an example. I'm just saying, she needs a lot of support.
Yeah.
Okay. So here, no, they're focusing on the tank. Yeah. So
they fixed her targeting.
Yeah, they fixed it. Yeah, they changed that. So it's some. I don't know if it's fortunate or unfortunate, but their behavior definitely has changed now.
Yeah. So I mean, they're very much focusing on the defender in that top corner. So if you are planning on building on that, there is some survivability for units on that central platform, but don't rely on them if you're facing high level demons.
Yeah, exactly. Given the danger of the platform, I wouldn't recommend any cultists. What else? Yeah, if you want to bring in Pierce stuff for people in Plat too, you can do that.
Yeah, let's have a look.
You might be able to get a cultist team to work there, and then the nightmare team. If you let's see here. If we,
it would have to be nightmare team with Emirate right behind on that.
Yeah.
So you might be able to do something with Beelzebub here, where I'm putting Nyx.
Yeah.
And then you'd have your defender up here, because that's still in range.
Yep.
Yeah. That would be taking the primary focus. So you then have your secondary mage there and hope that they're cultist. And then, your Yimmerit ranged fighter here and maybe another marksman just out the top.
Yeah.
So something like that. And then, a ranged unit there.
Right there, yep. But it has to be somebody like Emirate.
Yeah. And so it's got to be Beelzebub. So you're limited to either Morrigan or Demi. Demi would only work if you was A1 plus, because then you're getting the slows as you're coming up this here, and that's opening it up to Beelzebub, who's also going to be slow. There's no damage in this lineup. There's lots of CC, but there's no damage.
Well,
you're relying everything on
Yimmerit. Out damage, and then the second, I mean, Demi puts out really good damage. It's just inconsistent. It's only when she's ulting.
Yeah,
which is painful.
You are getting the Demi patch, but even so, mine isn't skilled enough to be able to do anything with at the moment. But yeah, she's. If you've got the units in range,
if you've got her exclusive stuff, right? If you've got good awakenings, there's potential there for
Yeah, A3 Morrigan on that tile would work well. If you've got the HP substats on her exclusive gear and you've got her artifact, or if you want to go Tear of Twilight, but yeah, if you're trying to get to her putting out damage as fast as possible, you need to have her exclusive gear.
And then,
okay.
Who else?
Obviously, Cyrus facing backwards to protect his skeleton would work really well there. And the reason you don't want to do a nightmare team right at the back is the fact that you've got no opportunity for your ground tiles, your other ground units to really put any damage out because of the linearity of it. Whereas here, you get everybody in a line, and because of the ranged units, you can get someone hitting. Whereas here, you don't have that luxury.
No. Yeah. And there is no spot for a healer, or if you commit your marksman already in that, there's no spot for a healer, that you can rely on.
Yeah,
it'd be tough. And if you put the tank down there, you pretty much kill all the platforms to the right of him.
Yeah,
because everything is going to get sniped. Yeah,
and there are so many platform tiles in this map It's saying to you, you need to use a lot of platform units to defend this, or it's trying to say that message to you.
So essentially what happened here is that essentially what they did is said, okay, we'll give you these ground tiles, but really the way that you're going to use them is by facing your long range fighters going to the right, and then you position your tank wherever you want to, if that's the kind of the format you want to go for.
Yeah.
So I would, like put Toro in that second spot. You can then have like your Ardea, or you could have Emret, or you can have Valkyra. No, not there, on the second tier. There we go.
Yeah.
You can have anything coming in on that side. You can then position your marksman at the bottom with the healer. You wanted to just that's essentially what they're forcing you to do. Essentially, so it's what it is.
Yeah.
Now that platform is dead. So don't.
Yeah, I realize I don't have the right units in front. So yeah, you'd have your ranged fighter here in front of Ivor, and then you'd have your healer down here where I've got Praetors. So you've got something. You've got a bit of control. You've got some. Yeah, that tile is very much at risk from Garnet guards, but I have seen clever things done with blood drinkers put on platform units who are tucked up out the corner, but they've got to have very fast attack speed.
Hear me out. A northerner team have Brokir, one tile south of where Torador is, and then so Brokir there, and then Ardea to the left, and then up one right there. Ardea there, facing to the right. Lubu above her, facing to the right at A1, of course. And then you've got Beelzebub in that platform tile to the left, facing to the right, giving them inspiration and slowing everyone as they come into those 3 tiles down to Torador.
Yeah.
So you're getting a ton of crowd control. You are just a moment. And then you're getting a ton of crowd control. You're getting a ton of damage from Ardea and Lubu. And then you would need a Lord, though. So you would probably... And you would end up with a Lord in that situation and no heals. So... or you could use either of the Lords with heals. There's some potential. I'm not saying it's going to be great. I'm just saying I like to experiment with new factions.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that, actually. I would say, it might have some viability. It's just that just thinking out loud. Now, one of the things that you're not compensating for is air. Lubu does not hit, right? So you would have to make sure, because you're already committing 1 heal spot. So those 3 units, I don't think would really manage air very well.
So your remaining platform is going to be your A5 Lady Alexandra. So that'll just handle everything.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. That's it. We've got King Hars in his exclusive gear in full, decked out super duper tank, and then we've got a ton of crowd control. We've got a ton of ground damage, and then we've got a wicked Lady Alexandra to cap it off. What could go wrong?
Yeah. Double shield bait into more. But yeah, something crazy like that. A lot
could go wrong.
Anyway,
but I like trying to find new fun stuff.
So in all the formations that I'm seeing right now, my preference is going to be top. So the first point of engagement or the second one.
Yeah.
That third one, that's more like reserved for some funky type of formation where you can protect the tank. So so that's how I'm seeing the keep right now. It's amazing though how these recent maps just have made Emret so essential for you to work on the kinks of the map, right? because you're not longer like in some situations you're not getting like straight 3 tiles or 2 platforms where you can. It's almost like they adding all these kinks, so the defenses are easier to manage. But if you have Emirate, you have no idea how strong you can make one of your defenses.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's that, like, you know, the maps are just, you know, built around him in any way. It's just that he does a lot. He's got great range. He attacks air units and ground units, and he does crowd control, and he does good damage, right? And he's unnameable, so he gets bonuses from everyone, and he provides that extra damage boost to everyone. It's just he does a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, the level 6-7 demon soldiers have kind of put Ajax to the side. He still might work in the lower tiers, but top overlord is just like we're not seeing Ajax anymore. It's all Everett, and it's just amazing how things have changed in the last couple seasons. So, but yeah, I mean, if the people that love to make tier rankings, who's the most valuable GvG unit right now is Emirate. That's I mean, I'm not gonna step back from that right now. It's just if you have Emirate, you got one good
Emirate, defense. Cyrus, Lady Alexandra. I think probably.
Well, yeah, Lady's an exclusive club, but yeah, she does make things a little bit difficult, but
not for long.
We're slowly
will make her much more accessible.
Yeah, well, we're slowly figuring her out, I guess is the way to put that, in how to try to beat her. So
okay, so I think that's really it for the tower, unless you've got any more to say.
Just so I guess the way that I'll tell people is I'm still putting some of my diagrams together for season 9, and at least with the maps in terms of where the archers are going to hit, where the Garner guards are going to hit, if no bugs exist. So I'll put those on my Discord so people can have a look at them, and then I'll start craft informations and see what comes up. Now in global, we're not. It's 1 more week, right? After this, be 3 more weeks before we see
it. Well,
because we have Gauntlet.
Because we have Gauntlet.
So Gauntlet usually takes 2 weeks. So so it'll be so there'll be time. There'll be enough time to theory craft and see what. But the sandbox is just going to make things so much easier for people, especially those that want to test their own derivatives and see what works and what doesn't. The other secret that I'm going to share with you all is there are some legendary artifacts that are doing some funky things that we are figuring out that we could use for some possible strats. So just for those of you that are GvG interested, I would say keep a copy of every legendary artifact if you can. I'm just going to leave it like that. And then later, if I'm allowed, I will share some secrets.
I like it.
Okay. One thing I didn't mention earlier that's coming in the patch is the Honor Gauntlet. Sorry, is it the Honor Gauntlet? The challenge. United Front. That's it. United Front. Yeah. So this is something that was done way back on Forerunners a while ago. This is what co-op should be. This is good, fun co-op. So what happens in this? I'm just going to get this playing in the background. This is a video that Sebastian did. So what happens here is you have 2 teams of 6 units. You go into a lobby. You go up the difficulty as much as you want to push it. From stage 3 onwards, they start adding in extra bonus features to make it a little bit more challenging. And you say there's like a core lobby saying, I'm looking for someone to help me challenge this. Or you can just like ping all of your mates and say, I want to do this. And yeah, you go in, you pick 6 people, you can just see what your allies picked, and then when you're ready, you hit go, and then the enemies start pouring out the top, and yeah, you start feeding round, and it's good fun. Really look forward to this. This is so much better than Live Arena, so much better than Arena. It's good fun, and if it doesn't work, you chat with people and you go again. The rewards weren't great. There's a nice little icon that you get from it, but yeah, they should do more of this. Less Honor Gauntlet, more United Front.
So if you fast forward
kind of timeline execution, right? Where like there's a few hours during the day where you can do it.
No, it's open.
Yeah,
it's open.
it was just
it's open all day long.
Here was the one difference. So if you want to fast forward the video that is playing in the background to when the fights occur, but the other thing that was that I don't know if people saw there at the beginning is the one of the things that I was emphasizing is especially when you get to stage 4 and 5, those modifiers. So I think for one of them was like the demon soldiers have like 20% more HP, 20% more defense. There was another modifier where their attack increased, I think. But essentially, those modifiers were changed every day. Okay, so it's not always the same. So what it does is that it makes you come back because the modifier changed, and then you go on and you look for a partner. Now, the other thing that you also have to appreciate too is, if I remember correctly, your units will also hit your partner's units. So I know that when Mystical and I were talking about putting our teams together and trying to, get the highest score possible, there were instances where I would say, I'm bringing Ingrid. You don't need to. Bring somebody else that could slow, somebody else that could heal our units. Like if I bring Ingrid and Carnelian, if we give them enough time, Ingrid will do her thing, blast the whole map. Carnelian not only will start adding soul essence to your units, but then she'll start extending them out to your partner's units. So kind of build on that. Build on the fact of what the heroes can do. And then you put a composition, the two of you together, that can manage the waves and bring everything down. And then as soon as you're done with the first 6 waves, I think it was, then it starts tallying up a score. That's when you want to hit it. Try to get as much damage as you can. You climb up the leaderboard, you show off, and you say, "We did it." Kind of a partnership.
Is this a once per day thing, or do you farm it?
No, as many times during the day as you want to do it.
As long as you have the person that wants to do it. So there are 2 ways to do it.
Rewards every single time, or based on.
I think there was like capped rewards. You got like if 10 battles a day, or so. You got. Something, I think it was just like a blue summon or something, but it's so much fun. You'd want to keep doing it. So that was what made it worthwhile. And it's kind of like
it wasn't even the rewards. It was just the opportunity of putting something together so you could show off your high score for the day. You being at the partners that did it, and it just. People came because I would keep getting invitations. Let's go again, and then once you match somebody, you have the specific chat window. So ideas start rolling in from that chat window, and people that can jump on Discord, you can just go ahead and partner up as many times as you want, and you think about how you're going to tinker around with your specific compositions. And then you go gear them, you come back, partner up again, go at it. Just right to that. This year, no complaints. I barely heard any negative. It was just people were engaged. They wanted to see how high they could manage in terms of the leaderboard. So, yeah. This is what I was saying. This is what kind of like the aspect of the tower defense environment should be when it comes to battling waves or anything like we see in Arena. It should be kind of a co-op thing instead of being what Arena is right now. So this is, I think that this is going to bring a lot of excitement. If people have anything negative to say about this, I'll be surprised. I'll really be, because this was really engaging. So
cool. So I think that's really it for where we wanted to cover today in terms of content. The last thing to do is to set the conditions for the code word. It will be a random selection from the comments section. If you use the keyword ARC500, it will be up on the screen above there, and we will do the draw in the next episode. And I will give 1,999 W gold to the winner.
So ARC 500, make sure that you do give us your ID server number.
Yeah.
So we can, go through Smile One or Coda Shop and then be able to send you that W Gold. So those are the two things that we'll be looking for in the comments. So if you just do ARC 500 and you don't give us a number, we're gonna have to go on to the next one.
Right. So
just those are the two conditions there. So congratulations, Arturos. Hopefully we can push to 1,000 soon.
Yeah, especially as the developers are locking CCs with less than 1,000 subscribers out of the Contributor of the Year. Not at all salty.
I told them that they needed to do a most promising, like, up and coming channel for CCs with lower subs, and I was told no so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's pick your battle sometimes. That's the unfortunate part right now.
Maybe I'll host my own.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, Fasty and Susie did it last year, so there's nothing to stop you.
All right. Well, enjoy the pack, people.
Take care, gentlemen.
See you all in the next episode. Bye-bye.